All right, we are back with our top 10 superheroes of all time. This is our 5th video. Thank you all for watching. So we're going to jump right into it. Number 10 on our list is Thor. To me, I think his presence in the movies recently was really big. Comic-wise, I think he had a little bit of a presence, not too much on TV. So I think we had him ranked. Where do we have him ranked as far as individually?
7, 9.
I didn't have him
Didn't
ranked.
have him.
I said I was kind of, again, if we got a bigger list, he'd be up there. But like as far as my top 10, 12, I said my biggest thing is he was more of a god than a superhero.
But he's still.
I know,
Again,
that's my.
He had a hammer!
He did have a hammer.
He had a hammer. He was mythical in a sense, but he came into the human form from a disabled doctor and became Thor.
That's awesome.
that's still it's no different than injecting somebody with something and all of a sudden.
So did Hercules, so did Zeus.
But wait, but
Hercules
somebody
didn't take the shape of somebody else's body.
if somebody stole Batman's utility belt, they could be Batman. You can't pick up Thor's hammer. Can't do it.
That's all right. It wasn't my top 10. Sorry guys.
Blew it.
Give us some stats.
Came out in 1962. Again, he manipulated, one of those words, with his hammer, the ability to fly and the ability to change the weather and other things. I mean, the guy had powers of a comic book hero.
Okay.
And a flying hammer. He doesn't make your list?
No, didn't make my list. Sorry.
Don't get any crap later then.
All right.
Okay. Number 9 on our list is going to be the Incredible Hulk. To me, I think, he's a big presence in the 70s, big presence in the 80s. And now
TV show, movie.
Yeah, and usually when we do this, we kind of expand our list, so we kind of, because we know there's going to be some variance. I think I had him 11,
9 and 12.
9 and 12, so he was on all of our top, 14 or whatever we went to this time list, so he was up there, but by the averages ended up being higher than a lot of them. And I think one of the things that he showed was that dual personality. Almost all
Jekyll
characters
and Hyde.
have Jekyll and Hyde. He had that the anger, the mild mannered Bixby, or Banner, Bruce Banner. Sorry, Bill Bixby's who played him.
It's a TV show.
Yeah, TV show. But a lot of these characters didn't. I think that was the appeal of a lot of these characters was the human side of this. If all these characters were just perfect, we'd be like, I don't want to see this.
But again, he's just a doctor that took a drink, became a monster, and then in the TV show, okay, gamma rays, whatever, became a monster.
It's you that takes a drink and gets it. I'm just saying.
Takes a drink, becomes a monster, destroys stuff, and all of a sudden wants to help people. That's not a comic book hero to me. He's somebody that came up and then
he was on your list,
part of the Avengers and all this other stuff. But it's not a good comic book hero.
But by our numbers, I think he ended up here. He does have a big impact. He's crossed generations. We've had good and bad movies. He's been in TV shows
and
comics.
Yeah.
So
bad movies,
I think it's
good
good
movies.
Belongs on the list though.
He's still on the list.
Okay.
He's on the list. Number 8 on our list is Black Panther. Me personally, I didn't have him on my list. Wasn't a big fan of the movies. Didn't grow up watching the series. Didn't really know him as comics. Didn't really know much about the character. So I didn't put him on my list because of that. I'm sure these guys had him higher. That's why he's up on our list. So I'm going to let them talk about it. Because to me, just not a huge fan of the movie.
I have 9. You have him 4. I think I agree with David in the fact that he wasn't a big character through the 60s right away when he came out, but he definitely built as he went. It wasn't one that I knew that well, but I think one of the things that impacted me that I heard was like Denzel Washington talking about him watching the movie and like halfway through.
Did he train him? Did he do any training on it?
He went to Wakanda.
Well, but Denzel Washington was like, he said he was like in tears just seeing how far along he's going from Sidney Poitier to here, how far filmmaking had. It was just amazing.
The comic came out in 1966, and there was never a TV show about him before. There was never a movie about him before.
That's why it should be on the list.
The movie comes out in the last couple of years, and it amplifies
All of
what
a
the
sudden, he's
character
number
is.
4 on somebody's list.
Come on now. He can take an herb and gets awesome powers, and then and not Austin Powers, awesome powers. And then in the movie,
I know a lot of people can take a herb and be a different person.
in the movie, the things that they've done with the costume, the electronics, the planes, everything that they can do now because of that. This guy's lifted, he's elevated to a
Because
new
of
level.
one movie.
Well,
And that's the first movie. That's what makes it so great.
the one thing I liked about the movie was the contrast between you're going from very basic tribal Africa, spears, you know, tribal traditions, hunting down lions, to like the most advanced technology.
He's a
in
chieftain,
a lot of
he's
these.
up there,
So
he
it's
can
just the
do
way
those
they
things.
blended the two together, I think.
Zero comic presence in my mind. No TV
We get it.
appearances. I'm just saying.
But
Number
look
eight,
what
also-
one movie
thank
did
you.
to it.
And the
Tell
impact it had on
It
just
brainwashed
culture.
you
culture.
into thinking it was number 8 on our list. I see. I get it.
I don't know that.
Number 7 is Wolverine, and for 2 people on this panel, we had it rated very high. A certain other person didn't have it rated
Here we
high.
go again.
Because I guess you didn't. He didn't have.
Gee, what figure that is?
Didn't have a recent movie, I guess, that just made the popularity go off.
The guy has knives that come out of his hand, and that's his superpower, and then he can heal himself and have some other powers.
And he has amazing facial hair.
Well,
So if I grow amazing facial hair, can I be a great comic book hero?
Okay. But look at
if you have knives come out
but
of your
look
hand
at the
same time.
criteria that we set, okay? Had a comic presence, didn't have a TV series, but it
No.
all, how many movies? And the X-Men movies on top of it, at least 5.
Well, I think
Better than Black Panther.
me, that's-
I'm saying.
Well, we're talking about a comic book hero, not the number of movies and TV shows that
well,
are
it
put
all
out.
plays
Yeah,
a
but when we
part.
talk about what our criteria was, it was national presence, comic book presence, TV presence, and movie presence. And I'm not gonna go backwards. We'll
Well, I think a lot of
but I
times
think
when
Wolverine just had a
Well,
good year.
people think about X-Men, Wolverine's the first one you come, and as far as like individual movies on their own, no, you don't see Cyborg or Cyclops having their own individual movies. He's had 3 or 4. He was kind of that one of those, not first, but like a big anti-hero. I know a lot of again, I said earlier that a lot of these characters, it's that angst, that internal battle that kind of draws us to some of these characters. In Wolverine, I think
You
is
didn't
that
say
draw.
that in this video. You said it in the video that didn't have any sound.
But
It's actually did
But I
say
did
this
say that,
video.
yes.
Okay.
But he was kind of a response to after the Vietnam War. He came out in '74, and it was kind of that anti-hero kind of loner. You know, is he really the good guy? Is he not? You know, it's like
He kind of had that 70s drifter look, too.
Yeah.
So that makes sense.
so I think that all that kind of brought into the appeal of Wolverine.
No stats, Chris?
I gave him 74. We talked about it, and the guy can heal himself, and that's nice. Not impressed.
Somebody's angry. Number 6 is Captain America. And this is one of the few people on the list that we all had about the same spot. So,
Skipping the shirt already.
oh, is he showing me? Well, I got an American flag on my hat, so that's cool too. I'll go ahead and throw our first iconic out there tonight. Iconic, he was, he's an American hero. The World War, we were in the World Wars, and I think he was influential and kind of taking us out of that era. One thing that I did when I did some of the research is there's actually a lot of political propaganda that was in the early comics that helped us with the war effort. So with that and the movie presence that he had,
Came out in 1941.
And some of that was kind of the opposite of what just happened with Wolverine, where it was kind of like because of the way America embraced World War II as opposed to the way they did not with Vietnam War. He was sparking nationalism. He was sparking that American pride. I mean, Captain America, the red, white, and blue. He had it all over. That.
And here it is. Here it is, 2019. He's still selling shirts. I mean,
And he was the true American soldier. He didn't have superpowers per se. He has his shield, but he was the American
Super
soldier.
shield.
Super shield. He was more of a leader than he was a superhero. But the guy
He's on steroids, basically.
the guy could do what he needed to do as a hero. I mean, he epitomizes what it is.
throwing out the big words. Number 5 on our list is I Am Iron Man.
Not the AC/DC one.
That was Black Sabbath.
Yeah, Black Sabbath.
That's okay.
Stats.
It was cool how you tried to get your little bourbon there. I appreciate you trying. To me,
Okay.
I think that we didn't. I keep on talking about how you got to have the presence, but this one's kind of the opposite for me. The comics, he was in comics. There was no TV show, but the movies and what Robert Downey Jr. did for the Tony Stark character, whoever casted him for that was deserves.
$1 million still.
Yeah, more than that probably after all the profits. But best casting role, I think of all the heroes that are on our list, I think the movie
You can
portrayal.
interchange some of those other ones.
The
You cannot
movie
take-
portrayal of what Robert Downey Jr. did for that character is just amazing.
Which is why I had him number 1 on my list and you guys didn't.
Well, again,
The
the Iron Man
of
movies
being
were,
Iron Man and what he could do.
out of these
Sets
Marvel
him apart.
movies, yes,
But you
some
can
of my
talk about
favorite
no
were the Iron
superpowers,
Man.
and he's got what superpowers? He's wearing a suit. He's a
He's got
robot.
technology superpowers that empower him to be better
we go
than
back
anybody
to-
else on the
yeah.
planet at the time.
And Adam Savage from MythBusters just made an Iron Man suit, and he's not a superhero.
Not
He's
yet.
actually a balding.
He might be one day. You never know.
I don't think
No.
that's gonna happen.
But again, I think just overall, if you look at just right now with the movies and then he's with the Avengers and all that, yes, Iron Man, huge right now, but we're looking through the scope of the whole thing. With the comic book was, I think that's where I had him at 10. I mean, definitely it belongs on this list, but we can argue about. I mean, he was
And
a
came out-
billionaire who made a suit.
Had a company at Stark Enterprise and, yeah, he made a suit.
Yeah.
But that suit was incredible, and it came out in 1968, which made him one of the first technology superheroes of the time. So.
And I don't want to downplay him because I really do think it was a great movie series. I think he's a great superhero, and we're giving Chris a little bit of crap on this one, but 5's a good spot for him on this list. It really
I think
is.
so. Yeah.
Yeah, because no TV shows, the comic books
So the
were...
fact that he got this high on our list was basically just the movie success
Just
doesn't
proves my
a lot. Number 4 on our list is Spider-Man. To me, he could probably be anywhere on this list,
Right.
honestly. But I think in the top 5, I think the fact that he had a comic presence, he had a movie presence, didn't really have a television presence, but
It was a TV show, but it wasn't good.
I think it was a cartoon. There was
No, there
there was a
was.
cartoon.
Like, there was a real... Oh,
I
hold
think there was.
on. Was there really a real...
I think there was.
All
Yeah.
right, I gotta look that up then.
But
Definitely was a cartoon for sure.
Yes.
and probably one of the biggest not Marvel cartoons in the '70s would have been the Spider-Man. I think it helped put Stan Lee, really put him on the map. He was
forefront
he
of
was
things.
building that. This is the character that made Stan Lee who he was. And really put it out there. I think I think this is the 3rd Stan Lee on our list. So Stan Lee has a huge presence. I mean, definitely the biggest superhero creator on this list. But this was kind of his baby. This was the one, again, a character that's average person, teenager,
That's the key.
that
No other-
again, smart kid, but all of a sudden has the radioactive spider. I mean, how many kids want to get bit by a spider just so they can mom, I got bit by a spider. Let me go try to walk on the walls.
I got one today, actually. It might have been a mosquito, but
You
still
want
a
to walk
bug
by?
bite.
So, and just that whole, even with Spider-Man, is that he wasn't ever that completely hero. His own boss, Peter Parker's boss, was like, oh, he's just a vigilante, he's a troublemaker. He didn't even have all the support all the time and still did the things that he did. I think it was...
And generational. I mean, 60s,
Yeah.
70s, 80s, 90s, and on past
2000s.
that. I mean, it was different, and just different actors portraying him in the late 90s and early 2000s, and now the presence that the character has now is just amazing.
And you touched on it being a teenager. There's not another comic book hero teenager that I can think of off the top of
Not
my
in the
head.
forefront.
Bartman,
The Fallen.
I think Robin was, but he wasn't
But
really.
it wasn't really a main
Side
character.
kid,
That's
yeah.
it.
Robin was the Scottie Pippen, though.
So much as a...
Not even.
Yes, not even.
Not even.
So at number 3, we're going to have Wonder Woman from DC Comics. To me, I think what Wonder Woman brought to the table was, first of all, she was smoking hot, and in all series,
She's
however
the
they,
hottest superhero on the list.
wherever they portrayed her, whatever actress or portrayed her, was,
Depends who's judging it.
so
But yeah.
even in the cartoons, probably kind of hot. So I think the whole girl power thing that she brought, a female presence to the superhero world was huge. The success recently with the reboot has been huge. Huge presence in comics, huge presence in TV series, and huge in the movies. I mean, that's the big 3, and she.
We all
she
had
nailed
her
it.
on. We all had her on our list. We're
Better 2.
2,
7 or 8.
and 4. So she was on our list, and I think that one of the big things with her is, again, she came out during World War II, when we had the Captain America fighting the war, but we had the women holding down the fort at home and having to do some of the men's jobs and doing double duty as the working mother, even though they weren't single mom, and it really brought in that, hey, these women can do the jobs that men can do, and I think really brought that women power. I think, again, also on that same thing, that she was one of the few female characters that wasn't, eventually she was in Justice League, but she stood on her own.
Yeah, she wasn't a sidekick.
She wasn't Batgirl, wasn't Supergirl.
She was the first one, for sure, and then there's some others that were kind of lead, but she is by far the biggest woman superhero there is out there. And, just the abilities that she has are pure and true abilities, not these ones where you get injected with something or something happens to you. She
What
was
about the
great.
lasso of truth?
The lasso of truth.
How convenient would that be to have in real life? I mean,
How many wives looked at with her husband?
tell me the truth. Where were you tonight? I was not drinking beer. Why? All right, number 2 on our list is Batman. You're gonna hit the top 3 here. I mean, definitely the television series. With Adam West. You had the movies now and in the past. And look at how many different characters played Batman in movies. I mean, Michael Keaton and Val Kilmer and the Affleck dude. What's his name? Ben Affleck.
Not the duck.
Affleck. And I think the thing about the TV show is, it was kind of corny. It had the icons or the bam and the power and all that stuff. And they kind of tried to make it funny and kind of just try something different. And you got to respect when somebody tries to do something different. And
Well, they tried to bring the comic book to the
Into the
screen
show.
almost. Like, it was the first time that anything like that tried to personify the comics books. But I mean, Batman's been around so long. He's that dark character. Again, we relate to. He was that billionaire, whatever, but orphan. Watch his parents get shot. It was the
had
whole
a chip on his shoulder.
Yeah, I mean, he was going to go out and conquer the world, but but that whole dark side, and just the fact that he was Batman, in the first place, and then it becomes that to the Dark Knight, and there's all the variations of Batman that stem from that. That he's just so. I mean, you see that symbol, the bat symbol in the air, you know what it is. No one. That's the first one. My son, Batman. You see it, and bam. They know right away.
Bam.
Bam. Yeah, bam.
It came out in 1939, but it carried over from the show and for the time in the 60s was good. The movies are great, and then thinking about the Batmobile in the TV show was really cool. The Batmobile in the movies was really awesome.
And the gadgets. I mean,
And that's what made it.
Kind of had that James Bond gadget kind of thing that kind of transformed James Bond world into the superhero world.
And again, another type of mortal person that was able to take tools and use them to become a superhero and defend the city, during the night while he's doing crazy things for work during the day. Says a lot.
All right, we are to number 1. Number 1 on our list is Bartman from The Simpsons. No,
Yes.
just kidding.
No,
It's Superman. Sorry.
I was sorry. I was a little late.
I was supposed to have a built-in pause there, and I almost forgot. It was just so much of a build-up. Comic presence, movie presence, some of the TV series like Smallville and Lois and Clark. I mean,
The longevity of Superman.
The longevity is just, I don't think is matched by anybody.
Basically, the
else.
first superhero, really.
Yeah.
I mean, if you go to, the Mount Rushmore. I mean, you go, okay, we're going to put Superman, and we'll debate the other. I mean, we probably have what we voted for
Superman
here.
is the
But
George
Superman's
Washington.
he's the George Washington. I mean, the outfit he wears, the tights,
Muscles,
tights and a cape. I mean, how many times?
And in the
that's where.
70s, some of those outfits were a little revealing to Sam, but
Well, and also the powers. It's like
so Batman's.
like, but the superpowers that Superman had, it's like they came out with that, and it's just like you can't top it. They have another character, he can fly. I mean, like Superman, or he's got heat vision. Oh, like Superman. It's like there's so many different powers that he had that it was hard to come up with another character. I think maybe that's why some of the characters went to technology and different things, because they didn't want to copy Superman. But it was hard not to, because they came out with the best superhero right from the start.
Laser sight, X-ray vision, the hearing, the strength. I mean, he spun the world backwards to get Lois Lane backwards.
And he was an alien.
Yep. Came from Krypton, and the only thing that could hurt him was kryptonite.
I only actually have one problem with Superman. It's one of the 80s movies where they let him play high school football. I just don't think that's really fair for the
Wasn't
other
that Smallville?
athletes.
Actually, wasn't that Smallville?
No, it was actually one of the 80s movies.
Well, yeah, on the back a little. It's okay.
I still think he played against outmoded.
I just don't think it's fair. It's
But
Superman.
did he play Superman or Clark Kent?
He played as Clark Kent, but he still had the
But he had-
vision and the
No,
arm.
he didn't have the outfit on, so he didn't do
He had
it.
the Brett Favre arm, dude. He did.
Yeah,
89
let him
yards.
play.
Oh.
Let him play.
Let him play.
I mean, but the little town he lived in, there's probably nobody that could actually catch the ball anyway. So, I mean, it's all
Yeah, why
right.
didn't he throw it out of the stadium if he had such good strength?
Then it wouldn't have been in the end zone. It would have been a touchdown.
Why didn't he make an NFL team?
Because he's too busy saving the world, Chris.
He could have done that.
Go
Or, he's only playing one game a week on
to
Sunday.
the school for journalism.
Anyway.
Thank you so much for joining us on our list tonight. We're going to come back.
Subscribe, please.
Yes, make suggestions. We're going to come back with the top 10 worst cars of all time. We're going to switch it up a little bit and go
No,
worst
not
instead of
cars.
best.
Worst
What?
cars.
Where's cars?
Worst cars.
He's a little off tonight. We apologize. It's okay. It's storming outside a little bit. It's got us all off a little bit.
Thunder scared me.
Lightning cut our power out earlier. It's been a night. It really
Revenge of
has.
Thor.
And all.
Peace out, guys.